Intentionally unintentional revenge on a mailbox vandal. This is my dad's revenge. Not mine, and this happened last summer. My parents live out on a lake just outside of town. Their property extends to both sides of the road, and their mailbox is on the opposite side of the lake and the house. Over the 4 years they had lived at the property, a black SUV has knocked down their mailbox 6 times. They catch the vehicle on the security camera on the gate but get no identifying info. My dad would report it every time, but not much could be done. It was knocked over by a drunk driver once as well, but he crashed a bit further down the road, so that was the only time that my dad got reimbursed for the damage. Well, after the 7th time it was knocked down, he had had enough. The land on the opposite side of the road dropped off steeply immediately after the shoulder. So my dad contracted some guys to build out a small gravel pad, 15 feet long and 3 feet deep or so he could set his mailbox back from the road. My dad told me that if someone tried to knock it down now, they would regret it. Well, about 4 months after the work was complete, my parents were awoken to a loud crash in the middle of the night. They called the police and went out to investigate. They found the black SUV off the road and having crashed into a very large tree. The guy was taken to the hospital and was charged with a DUI from the crash as well as possession of drugs they found in the vehicle. By building out the gravel pad and moving the mailbox back by just a few feet, it still appeared that the mailbox was on the shoulder, and still seemed like an easy target. In reality, those 3 feet made all the difference. Because the pad was so short, the vandal left the roadway before the pad started, and when the right side of his vehicle went off the shoulder, his car went veering down the steep incline. The dude was pretty badly injured, and I know my dad felt bad about this. I think this was much more effective than he had in his mind. My dad isn't the kind of person to intentionally injure someone, so I am sure he was hoping to just cause damage to a vehicle and teach a lesson that way. I wouldn't feel bad. The guy was driving under the influence. He put the lives of not only himself, but countless others in danger by getting behind the wheel. And of course he intentionally damaged someone else's property on several occasions. He made one too many stupid decisions, and karma finally caught up with him. So I'd say justice was served. Nicely done. Did your dad manage to be reimbursed for the previous damage now that he knows who the driver is? I wouldn't feel bad for the driver. It appears that he repeatedly drunk drove and caused property damage. Your dad might have saved the lives of any pedestrians that he could, in his drunken state, run over. Plus, if he was drunk and driving this often a night in the drunk tank, and the problems getting charged with DUI might lead him towards sobriety? Sweet justice. Well, you know what they say. 8th time's the charm. Your dad's a genius. Plays stupid games, wins stupid prizes. The guy was either drunk or on drugs. Probably drugs, since that's what was in the car. DUI, DWI means under the influence of any drug, not just alcohol. And intentionally did this, so his own fault. Your dad may have saved someone else's life that night by taking that fool off the road. I am sure he thought, no one's stupid enough to try doing that. He'll stop, rolling on the floor laughing. And honestly, that was just Darwinism at work. I wouldn't be too busted up about it. There was a CSI with the storyline that someone was sick of their mailbox being hit by kids wielding baseball bats as they drove past. He filled the mailbox with solid concrete, and when the Kids tried it, the car ran out of control and they both died. Eventually CSI find the cause of death and the guy is done for negligent homicide. Bit harsh, I thought. Nick and Detective Cavalier are at the scene of a car crash, where two young men, Chase Bowman and Max Poole, are dead, apparently killed when their car crashed into a tree. Nick immediately notices something is off when he finds splinters in Chase's wound on the opposite side of the car from the tree. Chase's arm is also broken in a way that is incongruous with the car crash. Nick views footage from the car's internal computer showing him the 5 seconds before the airbags deployed, which reveals that the car swerved to avoid hitting something. Hodges confirms Nick's suspicion. The splinter in Chase's arm doesn't match the wood from the tree their car hit. The splinter is from a baseball bat, leading Nick to wonder if the boys were playing mailbox baseball. Nick and Hodges play a little mailbox baseball game of their own, trying to figure out how Chase broke his arm. Nick and Cavalier retrace the boys' route and notice a brand new mailbox at one of the houses. They question the owner, Hal Jackman, who says his old mailbox got smashed. Nick notices a concrete walkway with one stone out of place. He turns it over and finds a mailbox with a concrete center buried beneath. Jackman tells Nick and Cavalier that the boys destroyed 4 of his mailboxes before he decided to take matters into his own hands. Nick tells him that Chase hitting the concrete mailbox caused his arm to break and the car to swerve, killing both boys. Jackman tries to defend himself, but Nick has him arrested for 2 counts of negligent homicide. Your dad didn't intentionally injure someone. The driver did that himself. There is no blame on your dad here. Awesome. If the driver wasn't under the influence and was a sober vandal, he may have reacted quicker and had minor injuries. Interesting solution your dad came up with. Good for him. I was surprised that he merely moved it back. I thought this was going to be one of those stories where he transforms it into a concrete and steel barrier that wrecks someone's vehicle. This is talked about all the time in our legal advice and is very, very illegal. Pretty sweet but more accidental revenge. Don't let your dad say he built that pad on purpose. An attorney would take that case in a heartbeat. I have seen mailboxes on country roads in Texas that are enclosed in concrete to deter people from hitting them. My dad did something similar. We lived on a fairly busy road, the first driveway going into a subdivision. Our mailbox was vandalized a number of times. But it was one of those huge steel mailboxes, so it was easy to bump it back out. The wood post was always demolished, which required us digging it out and replacing it. Anyway, despite the number of times our mailbox was hit, my mother wanted an upgrade to a beautiful wood mailbox. That lasted all of 2 months before someone hit it and shattered it and the wood post into pieces. My dad was pissed, but he had a plan that I believe he formulated before replacing the wood one. You see, he held onto the huge steel mailbox. He purchased a 3 inches diameter large steel pipe that he and I used a post hole digger to sink 4 feet deep. Then we poured cement into the hole surrounding the pipe. The old steel mailbox was placed back on top. About 2 months later, someone hit the mailbox and left pieces metal, glass and part the bumper from the car for the next 3 houses. As for the mailbox, the pipe was bent. The old steel mailbox was knocked off but barely damaged. We bumped it out and repainted it. I had the fun of digging out the old pipe and pulling it up with the help of my buddy's truck, and we replaced it with another steel pipe. Despite the work involved, Worth it. That mailbox was never hit again for the rest of the time my parents lived there. Another 15 years. Your dad took a repeat drunk driver off of the road before he killed someone. His revenge is a net benefit to society.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.